Are you confident that President Biden has what it takes to win in November and serve the next 4 years?
As I've said before, I'm with Joe.
Senator Murray, who just left, made a statement last night saying that she believes that Biden needs to do more to demonstrate that he's strong enough to defeat Donald Trump, articulate a vision, and must seriously consider the best way to preserve his legacy. Do you agree with her sentiment?
As I've said before, I'm with Joe.
As you can all see from that press conference, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer publicly defends President Joe Biden, doesn't call for him to step down from the presidential race despite the odds of him winning the election. The odds are slim, to say the least. But behind the scenes, it appears that Chuck Schumer, like many other Democrats, are voicing concern. And in fact, Axios reports that Schumer has even gone so far as to say that he's totally fine with dropping Biden. Now, he didn't say that to Democratic voters. He didn't say that publicly. He did say it to a very specific group of people, and I think that's relevant to this story. So rather than consult with these voters, over the last 12 days, Schumer has been listening to donors' ideas and suggestions about the best way forward for the party, according to 3 people familiar with the matter. Because this country isn't actually run by the American people, the politicians aren't decided on by the American people, it's the donors who decide, right?
Yeah, look, that's another thing that this story is revealing that's so important about politics overall. Like AIPAC revealed how much the donors control the politicians. They made it so absurd that you couldn't not see it, right? So in this case, there's a couple of things that are being revealed that you can't not see. One is what politicians say publicly and what they say privately. Now remember, they made it seem like only Republicans do that. That in private they hate Trump, but publicly they kiss his ass. Now that's true, they definitely do that. But we told you, yeah, except the Democrats do it too. And they said, no way. The Democrats are angels and honest, and they're not like the meanie Republicans. And here we are. They're all saying behind the scenes, of course Biden's got to go. This is crazy. We're going to lose all the swing states. We're going to lose all the swing districts in the House. We're going to lose the purple states in the Senate. And then they get in front of a camera. I'm riding with Biden. I'm with Joe. And guys, I get some of the politics of it. I don't want to seem like a black and white issue. If they all came out and said Joe Biden is done, and Joe Biden, being the mad king, decided, no, I'm going to stay in the race, then they've guaranteed a loss. But the thing is, they all know and they're freaking out internally because it's already a guaranteed loss. It's already won, right? So this caution is nonsense. But the second thing that this story has revealed, because they're saying it in almost every article.
Yep.
Is that the donors are in charge.
Exactly.
In every article, they're like, well, they consulted with the donors and Jeffrey Katzenberg said this and George Clooney said that. And then this banker said this and that venture capital guy said that. And the LinkedIn guy said this. And so they're all just, and what happened with Schumer and Pelosi and why you saw something extraordinary, something I've never seen in my life, where one pillar of the establishment, Nancy Pelosi, seems to come out against another pillar of the establishment, Joe Biden. I've never seen that.
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team. So for those of you who either didn't see that moment on cable television or missed our reporting on it, we actually have that video. It's the last clip where Nancy Pelosi she didn't flat out call for Joe Biden to step down. But the way that she framed this made it clear, after Biden had made clear that he did not want to drop out of the race, that she thinks this ain't over yet. Maybe you should really consider. So let's watch.
Does he have your support to be the head of the Democratic ticket?
As long as the president it's up to the president to decide if he is going to run. We're all encouraging him to make that decision because time is running short. I think overwhelming support of the caucus. It's not for me to say. I'm not the head of the caucus anymore, but he's beloved. He is respected, and people want him to make that decision. Not me.
He has said he has made the decision. He has said firmly this week he is going to run. Do you want him to run?
I want him to do whatever he decides to do. And that's the way it is. Whatever he decides, we go with. And I've said to everyone, let's just hold off. Whatever you're thinking, either tell somebody privately, but you don't have to put that out on the table until we see how we go this week.
So, look, Pelosi, as I said before, is kind of trying to have her cake and eat it too, because you might have missed it, but she says something along the lines of, people want him to make that decision, not me, not me.
Yeah.
But first of all, Biden began this week with that letter telling the Democratic caucus, shut up, I'm gonna keep running, I'm not gonna drop out of the race. And he thought that was gonna be the end of it. So Pelosi going on MSNBC to say, it's Biden's decision to make, as if that decision hasn't been made yet, is a way of pressuring him to reconsider his decision.
Yeah, she's certainly savvy enough to know that when he says, I definitely made my decision, I'm definitely staying in the race, and you come out 2 days later and go, I wonder if he's staying in the race, he should make that decision. What you're saying is, we don't like your decision, we want you to reconsider. So, and if you didn't intend that, then she should retire too. She's 84.
She later claimed that that's not what she intended.
Okay, then retire. You should all retire.
I agree. I totally
ridiculous.
agree.
But no, guys, she didn't go on TV by accident. She went on TV to make that point.
Right.
So now, look, as I told you, in every article, they say Schumer and Pelosi are getting tons of calls from donors. And the donors are worried. And so when the donors are worried and they're saying, hey, we're gonna turn off the tap, the reason Pelosi and Schumer are freaking out both behind the scenes and a little bit in front is because they're like, wait, our source of power is the donor money. What if we lose the donor money for the House and the Senate? Then we're toast. The donors are saying that Biden's gotta go. In fact, look, you can see this in almost any article, but I'll just give you a representative quote from Axios. They say Schumer's conversations are part of a roiling debate in the Democratic Party with prominent donors now calling on Biden to drop out of the race. Like that's, when they're talking about Schumer, they're saying more than even him talking to the senators or talking to anyone else or looking at polls, the donors have already ordered this to be done. That's why Schumer's deeply concerned. There's one more.
I have to, hold on. I just need you all to really understand that the polls have been bad in regard to Joe Biden. Even prior to the debate, we had been covering the polls, specifically the swing state polls that have been abysmal for Biden. And no one cared. Democratic leadership didn't care. No one's pants were on fire, no one was freaking out. Schumer wasn't freaking out behind the scenes, but publicly saying something different. Everyone was just kind of going along with it, coasting, let's just hope for the best. But now, after that debate, and look, the reason why I bring up the polls is because the polls have to do with the voters. The voters should be the most important people, and it should be the most important analytical, information to allow the Democrats to make the correct decisions. They don't even care about what the voters have to say, Cenk. They haven't cared at all. They've ignored the polls completely. But the donors are suddenly concerned.
Yeah,
that's what they care about.
So I want to build on what Anna's saying because it's really important. So, guys, the American people already knew that Joe Biden was in terrible shape. Already, the numbers were in the 60s and 70s we're worried about his mental condition. That's why I kept saying it over and over again. So they're like, well, it didn't deteriorate that much. Yeah, because 7 out of 10 Americans already thought that he was not mentally healthy enough to win. And then they're like, well, his favorability didn't go down that much. Yeah, because it was already at 37%, which is an absolute disaster.
Exactly.
They're like, well, he's losing all the swing states, but he was losing them all before. How is that in favor of Joe Biden? So to summarize all that, what happened was the American people already knew what was going to happen in that debate. The only people who didn't know were the elites, because they're in their own bubble. So now what's changed after the debate is that the donors and some of the Congress people are like, oh, we love Joe Biden and we were telling you all along that he's great, and we had this, they had drank their own Kool-Aid.
Totally.
So when they saw that the emperor had no clothes, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know he didn't have pants on, why didn't anybody tell me? Well, not only have we been telling you, but the American people were telling you. 7 out of 10 of them thought he wasn't mentally there, but you didn't want to listen.
But you think Democratic leadership didn't know about Biden's condition? You think that
they definitely
Democratic leadership knew? and they didn't care about what the voters thought as long as the donors were still happy. Yeah. Now that you get what I'm saying? Like, they were perfectly fine going along with this, knowing that there's a good chance that Biden is gonna lose to Trump. But it's okay as long as we're still able to fundraise. As long as the donors are still happy. That's the most important thing.
That is so true. So, I mean, again, listen to what Anna just said, and I'm gonna give you the final quote on it. Schumer, Pelosi, and all those guys thought, well, I see the unfavorability number, and I know it's near impossible for an incumbent in the 30s to win. I see the polling number, he's losing every swing state, it's over, right? But it's okay because the donors are still giving us the money, and the donors want Biden in the race because he's a good return on investment. The minute the donors turned, the politicians are turning. So the second sentence I was gonna read from the Axios piece was, lawmakers and donors are waiting for more polling data, most of which has been negative for Biden, before making a potential move against the president. Look at how they acknowledge that without saying, isn't this outrageous or anything? They just think it's perfectly normal, and every mainstream media article is saying, the donors are waiting, they're gonna see more polling data, then the donors will decide, then they'll order Schumer, Pelosi, and the other Democrats to either kick Biden out or not, because the donors are in charge. Well, thank you for admitting it. That's also what we've been saying all along. Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.